Good morning. I'm Ken. I'm the home inspector. We're here at 116 Lincoln Street, and we're looking at a house built in 2005, give or take. And so this will put this as a modern house. Still is 20 years old, but it's a modern construction. So let's just kind of start at the bottom and go up. Foundation, poured concrete. That's what you want. That's really nice. You might see a few little hairline cracks around the outside. That's simply concrete curing. I'm not concerned from a structural standpoint. All normal stuff. Cosmetic at worst, but it's not a big deal at all. Siding, it is a hardy plank siding, cement composite. So it is a product that doesn't have to be painted, but it is painted. So that means the paint fades and that kind of thing. But if you're not a fan of the beige color or whatever it is, then paint it blue, whatever. It's paintable.
Can I interject real quick?
Sure.
I'm sorry. I noticed one little chipping area up here, and I was thinking it looked like that cement. So it's not masonite. It is like a first generation hardy.
It is.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
So, some of the areas that are close to like the roof might show a little bit of that, where it kind of chips and wears. Some of the trim that's down at the bottom will get the same kind of thing.
Okay.
The little bit of stone on the front wall is a man-made stone. I think there's one little rock that's missing in a corner, but it's in okay shape. Windows, these are a pretty decent window. They're a nice wood frame window. However, there are, I don't know, half a dozen, give or take, that are really quite foggy. And so that's more of a cosmetic issue, but it can be an issue because some of those you can't see out of. Glass guy can replace the sash. He doesn't have to do the whole window unit, but he can just do the window half, pull it out, drop a new one in. So it is a correctable item, but it could be several $100s per. But I've identified the areas that are hazy that are very apparent today. Front porch, structurally I'm okay. The columns or posts, especially at the bottom of the steps, a lot of deterioration on the casing around the posts. It's just kind of a damp location down at the ground, kind of covered up by bushes a little bit. So a lot of that trim is soft. You could stick your hand in it. So it's not like the porch is coming down. It has nothing to do with the structure of the porch, but there is deterioration on the white lower columns that need some attention. The back decks, structurally pretty typical for the age, and I really don't have a particular concern from a structure standpoint, but especially the upper deck, there are some boards that are getting soft, deteriorated. There was a couple on the floor, one of the top pieces on the rail, you put your hand on it, it'll crumble. So there is some repair there, especially the upper deck. Roof-wise, I would assume that this is original roof. Does have a fair amount of wear to it. The front side is really dark. That's algae. Basically, that's a shady side, doesn't dry out, and that's not an indicator of age necessarily, but it is basically it's the shady side. The back side takes more sun, but also it probably takes more weathering. So that one shows a significantly more weathering and wear. Generically speaking, 20 years of roof age, we're in the final third of its life. This is a typical 30-year shingle. They don't last 30 years. They're more like 25-ish. I think my largest concern about this roof as it stands now is what your potential homeowner's insurance company is going to say. Lots of them kind of get freaky on roofs that have some age to them.
Yeah.
And you're not going to know until they start asking questions. So that one, that's a potential, we may need to do this one sooner than later type of thing. But generically speaking, we got some years left, but we are in the final third of its life. Structurally, I'm fine with what I see with the poured walls, The floors through the house are pretty level, so nothing has dipped or sagged really. Attic structure is trusses, so very common type of thing for 20 years ago, but also very, very common for what they do today. Insulation in the attic is very good. It's more than you normally would see on a standard house of this age. And I think this house was a custom build, and it kind of gives you that vibe that they did extra things that they thought would be worth doing, and insulation was one of them. Systems. Electrically, this is 200 amps, which is normal for this size of a house. Main breaker out at the meter on the right hand end of the house. Small concern where the power comes into the meter, the conduit that protects the cable runs through the concrete that's on the side of the house, and that concrete is settled, which has pulled the conduit and has separated a little bit. I'm not really concerned about the separation. I'm more concerned about the potential strain on the cable of things pulling. It's a pretty straightforward look and correction, but it's hard to say because you've got to kind of pull the meter and look inside of there to see if they've got strain on the wires or not. But there's many things in my report where you could say it would be better if you did this, and that's one of the things it would be better if that conduit was corrected and the connections were examined just to make sure nothing got pulled and is in a strain. But that feeds the electrical panel that's in the garage. That looked good. Thermal scan in there looked good. You also have a very small sub panel that's in the basement, and that actually looked quite good. They wired it correctly, which kind of is surprising. They don't always do that. But that looked good. Thermal scan in there was good as well. Modern copper wiring, grounded outlets. We've got GFCI protection in the normal locations. The one spot that doesn't have ground fault protection, which are those outlets with test and reset buttons, is in the laundry room. And that's really common for this age of house. They didn't do it all the time in the early 2000s, but they do it all the time now, just because it is a potentially damp location. It's a $10 item, but it keeps you from getting shocked if something falls in the water. It looks like this house has the full complement of smoke alarms, but again, these appear to be original, so they're about 20 years old. Smoke alarms have a 10-year service life, so it's time to get rid of these, throw them out and get new ones. And so I've identified the locations, but you've got at least 6 of them, 6 give or take. So it's time to swap those out. Plumbing wise, this was at the tail end of the copper pipe era. Nothing wrong with copper, but this has copper pipe. Main water shutoff valve is in the laundry room in the basement. Pretty easy to access that. The water heater is down in the basement as well. And that one, I believe, also...
It's original.
2004.
Mm-hmm.
So it is original. So again, at 20 years, it's getting some age in it, and we're kind of far down that road. But things are flowing and draining, doing their thing. There was a leak, kind of a little drip spray leak of a drain pipe underneath, I think it was the basement bathroom, or one of the bathrooms. I've got that labeled where that one is. But other than that, plumbing, very, very straightforward stuff. Heating and cooling, again, 20 years old. So this has 2 electric heat pumps. So that's an air conditioner in the summer, an air conditioner that runs backwards in the winter. Upper level, the air handler is up in the attic, and the compressor's on the back of the house. Lower level, the air handler's in the basement, and the compressor's in the back. Pretty common setup. The one thing that you will have to kind of work with a little bit is that the main level system also conditions the basement. So the basement's basically along for the ride. Heat rises, cool drops, so it's always going to be cooler downstairs. Just kind of the nature of a finished basement. A very common setup, but it does tend to make things a little more difficult to very evenly control temperatures if that's what you needed. The units are working. but again, they're 20 years old, so they're pretty far down that life cycle pathway, so it's time to start planning for new ones on that. Coming through the inside of the house, of course, you've got normal wear and tear, but it's by and large quite nice. Definitely has not been beat up. I was told a single lady and her dog live here now. And the dog was kind of barky but very friendly, so it didn't seem like he was very destructive either, so that's always helpful. Appliances did their thing. Gas log, you have a ventless gas log. There must be a gas valve shut off someplace. Or maybe it's shut off at the meter, because that is the only thing that is natural gas.
Okay. And that is a hard line, not a tank.
It is, there's a meter.
Okay, so it's hard.
So frequently people don't use their gas logs because there's a minimum monthly fee for natural gas, and if you don't use it, you're still paying $15-20 a month, and then you use it for a month or two and then you're done with it. So not uncommon for people not to use them, but right now that gas is shut off to that unit. So I know the igniter sparks and it looks like it's in decent shape, but I could not test it. Just a couple of other topics. Stairways. These are built like just about every other one of 20 years ago. One big difference that you will notice if you were to see a brand new home is that railings going up steps theoretically should be continuous, which means you can walk up the steps and keep your hand on the rail without ever taking it off. And so on the upstairs stairway, you have a nice railing on the right, then you've got 2 or 3 steps, and then you got to put your hand on the left and transfer up. Young people, whatever, you're doing your thing. You got elderly people going upstairs, well, it's a different thing. Nobody's going to make you change it, but that may be something you want to think about for in the future. Not as drastic on the basement stairways, but kind of similar. But I'll have comments to that effect in the report. So, big picture, this is a nice place. It's a modern place. You got that poured concrete foundation, modern 200 amp electrical, copper piping, all of that. That's all really good. Kind of the downside is we got a lot of 20-year-old stuff. And so those are all items that will unfortunately be coming sooner than later. And so you need to be budgeting for a roof, for 2 heating and airs, for a water heater, and that kind of stuff. So what to expect from me, you're going to get an email from me later on today. The email will take you to a dashboard that will have all the inspection information. The inspection report starts with a summary. The summary is meant to be action items, things to me that are right now, it would be better type of items if you take care of them, or somebody does. Use that as your starting point, not necessarily your ending point, but your starting point for your thinking. How do I need to make this house right now so that I'm comfortable with this purchase? And so some of the items on the summary, you're going to say, that's not a big deal, doesn't matter, I'm changing it, or I can do it myself. And there's other ones you'll say, I think I want that right. Everybody has a different perspective on that, so pick and choose as you need to on how you need to go forward from here. But the full report follows that with all my comments, pictures, and observations. You'll get 360 pictures of the entire place. There'll be a button for that. You'll also get a measured floor plan for all the levels of the house. That takes a day or so to process. There won't be a button there tonight, but more than likely it'll be there tomorrow, but you'll get an email when it's ready. Also, there'll be a button that says Home Manual. That will give you further detail on all the appliances and mechanical equipment, and will flag anything if it is recalled. And there's also a button there that you can get it's called a repair estimate. And what that is we've got a company that can take a look at my summary and give you a realistic estimate that some random whoever would charge to fix whatever. So they can give you a pretty realistic number on what it would cost to, say, replace the windows, replace a GFCI outlet, replace some boards on the deck, those kinds of things. And it gives you orders of magnitude and maybe budget numbers or even negotiating numbers if you choose. But those are all the buttons, or most of the buttons on that dashboard. There's probably other stuff that slipped my mind, but
The 360 floor plan, I like that.
yeah, so that one, so if you forgot what a room looks like, spin it around, all that kind of stuff. And it also links to the inspection report, so you can read the report room by room, as opposed to system by system in the full report. But this will go out to you this evening. I'll also send an email with a link to pay for the inspection. You can just pay online with that. And when the floor plan's ready, you'll get an email that says that's ready, and it's more than likely will be tomorrow. But if there's any questions, feel free, give me a call. You can reply back to any email that you get sent. I'll get it, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. So, hope it all goes well. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Ken.